like, you hear about these cases.
So 600, Christmas Day looks like it's gonna take a minute now.
Meeting order. Let's stand for the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Barnum. Here. Helmsley. Jennings.
Here.
Voigt.
Here.
Zuber.
Here.
Bruner.
Here.
Patrick.
Here. I will announce that our state's attorney has requested a closed session for pending litigation at the end of the meeting, so we'll do that. I just wanted to announce that. Next item on the agenda, minutes of the February 13th meeting.
Move their approval.
Motion by Mr. Boyd, seconded by Mr. Jennings. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Minutes of the February 15th special meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Farnum. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bruder. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Claims against the county.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Jennings, second by Mr. Boyd. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. County board members' claims.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Boyd,
Second.
second by Mr. Zuber. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda, public session. Any comments?
I'd like to present this to the clerk. It's a FOIA suit that we filed this morning. My name is Jimmy Wells in the County of Edgar. And I just want to reiterate that you guys are required, and your employees, to answer FOIA requests. It's not an option. And it carries a civil penalty between $2,500 and $5,000 per request that is not answered or ignored. That suit names 3 of them. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody else?
To read notation from some documents I handed out during one of the study sessions. This is a law firm opinion that applied to Thorpe and Jenkins in regards to conflict of interest and how it applies to municipal law. General Assembly, by legislation, prohibited and limited the interest of both elected and appointed persons holding any office with the unit of local government they serve. First, the Public Officers Prohibited Activities Act, sometimes referred to as the Corrupt Practices Act, provides that no elected or appointed public officer may be in any manner interested either directly or indirectly in his own name or in the name of any other person in any contract or the performance of any work in the making or letting of which such officer may be called upon to act or vote. The words may, act, and vote have been emphasized to stress on the one hand that it is necessary that the officer actually act or vote. The mere fact that the officer may act or vote can be enough to place the officer in violation of the act, and on the other hand, abstaining from voting or not even being present at the meeting at which the vote in question was taken is not enough to absolve the official form of a violation of the act. In the event an officer has a conflict of interest, which IDOT has confirmed you do, Mr. Patrick, and coming before this public body, and such officer cannot bring himself or herself with one of the several limited exceptions then in that case, the officer must make one of the following two decisions in order to avoid a violation of the act. Have the contract removed from the agenda before a vote is taken, or resign his or her office before the vote is taken. I'll provide a copy of that to the clerk. In regards to the appointment that's on the agenda that's going to be made, can anyone here tell me what special fitness for that office that Adonna Bennett has? Law requires that. All members shall be chosen with reference to their special fitness for such office. No such special fitness can even be referenced last night. I'd like to know what special fitness that compliance with. Have you folks determined what law you're going to comply with at the airport? No comment? January 25th, Mr. Patrick, you were notified of a conflict of interest because of your violation of your own recusal letter. He even went on to say, should the chairman continue to execute agreements or other documents and/or attend meetings that include discussions of projects using state and/or federal funds, it may result in the county losing its ability to use state or federal funds. Am I correct in the fact those funds have not been approved for your violation of your recusal letter and your participation in the meetings? Is that correct? No comment. You made a comment Monday morning meeting that you had sent 4 letters. I've submitted a FOIA to the Illinois Department of Transportation for all transmissions of letters. They've got one from your attorney. What other letters were sent? I submitted a FOIA to this public body. I'm not sure if you got it yet, Augie. I emailed it yesterday. You referenced in that public meeting that you had 4 letters that were sent. We'd like the other 3 copies because IDOT said they don't exist. In regards to Mr. Wells at the airport, his position as manager out there. It's a copy of his contract. Under the tight budgets that everybody has, the limited payrolls, the restrictions of hiring people or being able to hire people, there's been people let go. Are you on the payroll right now, sir? Are you on the payroll right now?
Yes, sir.
You are. He hires a person that's sitting here in this meeting doing nothing for the airport, and there's nothing in his contract that even allows him to hire people. Where is the accountability? Is it fair to the other bodies in this courthouse, or in the treasurer's office, or in the assessor's office, or the highway department, for him to freely hire people when he has no authority to do so? In closing, in regards to the FOIA that has been refused numerous times, like I read at the last meeting Monday, minutes that you approved, Mr. Patrick, both cases, the airport came into possession of a CD. To this day, that FOIA request has been refused. The records reflect it as a public donation to that public body. Do you have any intentions of turning that over? No comment. That only leaves a couple of options. Is it worth going forward with a lawsuit to recover something that the public has a right to know about? Not one airport member last night was even aware that you and Mr. Wells opened up a separate checking account with over $15,000. Nor were they aware that a check was written out of it. Some of them are pretty concerned about it, but they don't want to make waves. We'd like to know and have an accounting of that information. The concealment of public records is a felony. Does this public body continue to conceal public records? Thank you, gentlemen. I've given you the chance.
I respectfully disagree with your comments. Thank you for your comments.
Which comments?
Thank you for your comments.
Is this 5 minutes up?
Anybody else? If not, we'll move forward.
I would like to
Okay.
say something. Not a long list here, but I was at the airport meeting last night. And first I told the folks there at the airport meeting, I speak for myself, that I don't speak for Rusty. That he hasn't been able to get his father to do what he wants him to do. We're free people here, free-spirited. He says what he wants to say, I say what I have to say. A couple things came up in the meeting last night. One is the highway funding thing. I can't understand how all this money can be put in jeopardy where the funding is frozen and this funds could be lost, like your continued presence here, Mr. Patrick. And I can't understand how, when there's a group of people going to lose their job, the airport is out there hiring people. Now, there's not much more grass to mow. The workload hasn't doubled. We don't have twice as much grass to grow or to mow. We don't have twice as much snow to plow. So I don't understand how this can happen either. The other thing that we noticed in a meeting, when they did a treasurer's report, they talked about the airport spending. And from the numbers that were presented in that meeting, it appeared as though by the end of the year, the airport will be 200% over their budget. We don't understand how that can be allowed to continue. I think that's all for now.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, we will move forward then. Next item on the agenda, the appointment of Donna Bennett, the Airport Advisory Board. It's been recommended to us from the advisory board that Donna Bennett be appointed to fill the vacancy on the advisory board.
I would make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Jennings, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Zuber. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same
Roll
sign.
call vote, please.
Yes, roll call.
Farnum,
Yes.
Janice,
Yes.
Voigt,
Yes.
Zuber,
Yes.
Bruner.
No.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, resolution for Medicare coverage. The resolution is in our minutes, or not in the minutes, but in the packet.
Yeah, I thought maybe the first was.
You got it?
I got it.
You want to make that presentation?
I'd be more than happy to, Mr. Janice, thank you. The, this year, we will have a certain number of our employees who are going to obtain age 65 and be eligible for Medicare. And in looking at our insurance policy, group health insurance policy, there are benefits, there's an option available to those who completely retire and walk away from work. But there is not an option for those who turn 65 and do not sign up for Medicare, still want to work. And so the insurance committee has met, and Ben, don't want to put words in your mouth, but the insurance committee has met and came up with a resolution or a plan to assist those who are going to continue to work even after they've turned age 65. And it has to do with if you're eligible for Medicare and you sign up, you have to opt out of the county's group health insurance, and then that employee would go out and obtain their own Medicare supplement and the various B, C, D. There's different options that a person can choose. That it's the recommendation of the Health Insurance Committee to reimburse that individual up to $275 a month for their Medicare benefits, for their options that they've went out and purchased on their own. Does that make sense? I rambled through that.
The logic being, they can stay on the county's insurance, which cost us more money, $510, which cost us more money than this option's gonna cost, and so we made that available to them.
And it was our understanding that one of the employees who turned 65, I think within the next month, has been out shopping.
Mhm.
And when you sign up for Part B of Medicare, there's a $105 charge, and then to go out and find a supplement, which there are numerous supplement options out there. But this particular employee found one for in the vicinity of $150, I believe. And so with that to go by, the insurance committee felt like $275 a month as a reimbursement was good for the county, and it was, you know, good for the employee too.
I move the adoption.
Motion by Mr. Boyd, by your
Could I,
second.
could I ask a question? Augie,
Yes, go right
could this
ahead.
apply to board members also?
I think that's a good point to ask, because I know there's been some question about that in the past, and even if it's the idea of one, regular insurance for board members as a part of the county's plan as county board members, and then two, just from Mr. Bruner's standpoint, that's okay? You know, you're talking about somebody who may be able to use this Medicare supplement, maybe not right now, but in the future, and I think that's a good question for us to at least look at and see whether or not we have to make sure by resolution or whatever else, if that's a possibility, or legally, that county board members are in fact employed and paid by the county, or whether just people who are other elected officials or other people within the framework of the elected official pyramid, so to speak, are the only members of the county. And I think that's a good question.
Yeah.
And a very legitimate question.
I
That's
think we should
something
run
can look
that
at.
up to the state's attorney, let him research that and give us a legal opinion on that.
Okay, I think that's a good
But the-
question, though.
Yeah, but I think,
So the question is whether it's employees or elected, does that include all the elected
Yeah, that-
officials?
yeah.
Basically.
this
Yeah, that's what I'm
resolution,
saying. No, not just the county board, anybody.
Yeah,
whether it's sheriff or,
Right.
or supervisor, assessor,
Anybody
appointed.
paid by the county.
Right.
I would guess that it does include them, but that would be something you check with.
Is it okay if we go ahead and work on
Yeah,
this?
I'm not gonna apply for it, I just,
Right.
maybe down the road, maybe somebody else will, but I just wondered. so.
Yeah, and that's the other thing of the other parts of the insurances and stuff. You know, like,
but at the very least, it's certainly going to cover all of the employees,
Yeah.
right,
not necessarily the elected officials, because that's the question.
yeah.
This does tie back into what we've been working with the state's attorney, and he's been tied up with other things to update our personnel policy to reflect the correct language. We started talking about that in December with the state's attorney, and we're still not resolved there whether we need to have an amendment or we need to have a resolution or what we have to have. And this would maybe force this issue so we could get this resolved, okay?
Which right now maybe has not tons to do, but it was
Oh, you already have
it was a bullet that needed to be
Well,
added
probably
with
should be
this.
put in if it's.
Well, I mean,
if
just to
it's
look at.
An option that people can have.
Just a question. I know it's their vote, but you're saying somebody turns 65, of course, goes to Medicare, and they get the insurance. Somebody turns 55, 58, and retired at full, what's the cost going to be on that? Is it not going to be Medicare until they turn 65?
The cost on that, if I'm correct, well, I know I'm correct, because we just resolved this. Well, we just talked about this question.
Yeah.
Is that they can go, remain on our insurance at their expense for full cost.
Which would be their 5.
5, 10, whichever
Which the
plan they
county
have.
pays
And then
$100
once,
something.
yeah. Okay?
Law.
That's the law and required as an option under insurance policies.
So then when they turn 65,
They can switch back to the 275, okay? Or
If they were
whatever it is
still,
at
what,
that
if they were
time.
still employed? If they were still employed?
Right.
And we may be getting way out of it by now. You have to still be employed by the county to
Yeah,
do
they
on
don't-
this, because that's the very first thing
Well,
on
that's
here.
They don't have anything to
Whereas
do
the
with that,
county is under
275.
No, they-
insurance benefits. to-
No, that's
other
right.
employees are
Okay,
qualified.
yes,
They're not
yes.
employed.
Yeah, they're not
Somebody
employed.
thinks
You're
they're
right.
not employed.
Right.
Jeff, is there a limit on how many years you can do that if you retire?
No.
Well,
It's indefinite.
Right, there's no limit on how
No.
many years, you can do it forever as long as you pay in a
The
timely
full-
fashion.
Now,
full amount.
the reason I mentioned that other, and it may be different by them, they would be on Medicare, whether they were employed with us, switched to Medicare, and our policy would have a reduction
Yes.
for them. They would still have to pay that, we would not pay that, okay? Okay. That's what I probably misspoke the question.
Chairman, I call the question.
There was a first by Mr. Voigt,
I made the motion.
I'm sorry,
Second by
make the
Mr.
motion.
Janice,
a second by Mr. Janice.
and there's no other discussion. If not, I would, roll call.
Farnum,
Yes.
Helps, Janice,
Yes.
Voigt,
Yes.
Zuber,
Yes.
Bruner.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And I will contact Mark and go over all that with him.
Next item on the agenda, reports from officer and department heads. Karen.
I don't think I have anything to report. We're good. Auditors are coming tomorrow in our office, but other than that, I think we're good. We're moving right along.
Sheriff, oh, you got a bunch of stuff.
I was quick.
It's gonna take long.
You have the full.
Go 5 minutes.
I can do it that quick.
I was gonna talk about the jail, but, we'll do that next one. Because there are some things I'm looking at, long-term, short-term goals to take care of the jail and the sheriff's office. But what this is, and I want for the record, please. This is their first annual 2012 annual report that the sheriff's office has done for, I don't think we've ever done one, other than the amount of money that we have each year. And each board member. Shows everything we've done in 2012, good, bad, and indifferent. It's posted on the webpage, so those who want to get a copy. We're also going to charge $1 if anybody doesn't have a computer and they want to, just to cover costs, so you can have it when you come out of the office. You'll find it very interesting reading, I think. Like I said, it's a difference. And next year's 2013 goals, et cetera, so that's all.
Well, you wasn't gonna go over this, was it?
No.
Do you have any highlights though? I mean, that you especially want to?
Well, I think the goals for next year and the accomplishments that we had last year. The budget, I know we were a tad under budget. Some of the new programs we started. There's an org chart in there, shows everybody where they work. What else is in there? There's quite a few things to say. If you have any questions, please call. Talks about mileage of the vehicles, everybody, how much mileage they've driven for the whole year. We drove 208,000 miles last year for 8 people. And it's broken down by who did what by average month. Overtime we spent each month by each department. Sick time used by each department on an average. So it's interesting to read.
Thank you. Deb? Nothing for Aaron? Nothing? Andrea?
We're good. I don't have anything.
Mr. Wells?
Usually don't say much here. Some comments were made a while ago, and one of them was that the gentleman sitting next to me, he's not on the job, and he's not, the comment is that he's not getting paid right now either. He's a part-time employee, and he just escorted me up here, and he's gonna escort me back to the airport, and the airport's not gonna pay him for it. There's a lot of other instances going on out there, and one of the issues we talked about was that there's nothing getting done out at the airport, and a lot of it is because we don't have room to work. Just don't have room. We're getting as much done as we can. Part of the budget problem is that we just got through working on the big cat and had it in Champaign. That's not all the issues, but that's the biggest one. And hopefully we don't have any other big issues this year. And so we're gonna be over budget, and there's nothing we can do about it. if we're gonna maintain an airport. But, we're doing the best we can. And that's all I got.
Good, thank you.
I'd just like to announce that we are having, we did confirm a date, we're having our hazard mitigation meeting on April 17th at 6 p.m. at the 4-H Fairgrounds. So it's something that our office has been working on, and we did confirm that date.
And what is that, Kit?
It's the grant that we've been working on with SIU. This is 3 of 6 meetings. We're inviting
And
first
this is where we're
responders.
supposed to show up if we possibly can. 'Cause
Yes.
there's extra bonus points.
We do
from that.
get, we encourage all the villages, all the townships,
Yeah.
strongly encourage the county board members to come. Letters are going out, so if you did not receive a letter, I believe Sherilyn has confirmed with most towns.
What day was that?
And the 17th at 6 o'clock at the 4-H multi-purpose building.
April, right?
Yes, April 17th, sorry.
Thank you, Kid. Don.
The report that I've given you, basically, I just want to point out that when you compare the general fund line to a year ago, we're about $130,000 improved. I know we are still in the hole, but it's an improvement. And then when you look down at the bottom line on the cash flow where it says subtotal of general funds, we're actually $140,000 in round numbers improved. So most of our improvement is attributable to the general fund itself. I mean, if you want to look at it that way, I'm just making that comment. And we are comparing oranges to oranges because you know, this time every year we get hit with a big $50,000 bill for our property tax maintenance and stuff. So on both years, the year ago and this year, those have both hit. So this is very comparable figures. I was reviewing the payments from the state that we have not received yet. If we could have the income tax that has been vouchered already, basically on the website, just waiting for them to hit the button to send it to us, we'd have about $150,000 more in income tax. If we had the probation vouchers that have been turned in up through the end of December, we'd have another $50,000 sitting in our bank account. So we'd be about $200,000 better off in cash flow if, in a perfect world, we could have some of these payments more on time from the state. I have seen some improvement on some of the other reimbursements, state's attorney, supervisor of assessments, sales tax, things like that are pretty punctual. They're actually well ahead of what they were last year. Other than that, first of all, are there any questions business-wise before I ask a personal question to the board? Okay, needless to say, I'm no different than anybody else. I got to look out for myself once in a while. But the comments about the health insurance, Mr. Janice made a preliminary comment that he believed that elected officials, appointed officials would fall under the employee thing, but I know you guys it has been discussed about getting the wording changed on the policy. Now that this resolution is passed and it's using the word employee, can I assume, which I hate to use that word, that if indeed the wording is updated and it does basically say that public elected officials are considered employees, that is our main objective here?
My thing, Jeff, you may want to answer this. I'm not sure that this resolution says that. Because it says, whereas the County of Edgar County, now it may in the future, but it says, whereas the County of Edgar provides group health insurance benefits to those employees who qualify. And so I think the question would be like, who actually qualifies? And I
Okay,
think
that's
what
why I'm
Jeff-
asking the question, because I'm getting a
changes
strong
anything.
feeling here that we were talking two different things here, and you just confirmed it, Mr. Zuber, so I just,
We're gonna rectify that,
okay.
But I'm,
or try to.
what I'm saying is, if I'm understanding your question correctly, and I'm not the lawyer here, but I think this keeps everything status quo as far as whoever qualifies, qualifies. And if somebody doesn't qualify, that's why I thought it was a good point of Mr. Bruner's here to bring that up. And it's a good point for you too.
And
So we get some clarity on who qualifies.
And I guess my final comment is, and I'm not looking for tears here, but raising 3 teenagers in this day and age, that health insurance for me is a strong benefit to me that I really need. So I would appreciate that you take that in consideration for me and maybe other officials that may have similar concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. I did not forget you.
I think the focus of the term qualified references whether you're full or part-time.
I don't think that necessarily mean that. I'll leave that up for everyone.
Well, that was the intent, when it says for those who qualify for insurance. There's no qualification. You don't have to qualify other than show up for work as a part-time, as a full-time employee. Part-time people are not eligible. They do not qualify for the
Qualify,
health
though,
insurance.
I think would mean that whole myriad stuff. You know, qualify by our
It
local
could in
may
addition
mean
be
more than
that.
30 or less than 35 hours or more than 35 hours or doing 35 hours. Qualify, I think, also means whether or not you qualify for this program at all.
Yeah, it means more than one thing,
I
but we
think
didn't talk about the part-time, full-time thing, so I just wanted to add that.
Oh, okay.
But we'll get it clarified. We'll get it clarified. County clerk's office is always busy. Busy. We are in election mode right now. There's an election coming up on April 9th, consolidated election. It is primarily for the townships and villages, the school boards. We have lots of races. We have 89 different ballot styles, which is a lot. And because we have different people who live in certain areas of the township, they are not going to all vote on the same issues for the same offices. So there's a lot to get ready for and account for. We are conducting in-person absentee voting in our voting center now. So there'll be some ads coming out in the paper with various pieces of information as to the election. And I believe Gary's working on a story. And so we're in election mode now. We're not going to have, historically, we don't have the turnout with the consolidated election as we do a big federal or state election. And as a result, we're not going to use some of the equipment that we do, one being the touchscreen machines, and also the laptop computers. That's more behind the scenes. And since those were purchased with federal dollars, federal grant money, that has to be used in the federal election. Otherwise, the statute basically says you have to provide a handicap accessible and a handicap booth, which we do in every polling place. So the point is, we will hopefully get by this election using less people, less resources, and that is important because the word is the state is not going to reimburse us with a grant that they normally do for election judges, and which is going to hurt. It's roughly a fourth of what we spend. We just found that out. So the word's not completely, well, that's the word, but the decision is not completely made yet. And,
you just came to in, they're talking about taking the elections out of schools, which they directed us to put them in the schools, and now have you got anything on that, or has that went through?
I'm not aware that that's gone through. I just got a legislative update yesterday. I know there was some talk of that. Now, not everybody throughout the state has their polling places in schools.
Right.
I know they were required to, or they were told to, but not every
The schools had no choice.
The
If
schools have no
you wanted
choice.
to
If
put
the
it
county
there.
clerk wanted it in
Yes.
that town, it has to be done that way, yes. Yeah.
I don't think that there's very many schools that really do like that.
No, there isn't the first one that I'm aware of,
Okay.
including our own.
Yeah.
And given an option or an opportunity, we'll move them out of there as soon as we can. It's just finding the right place.
Yes.
So, there are a lot of election bills that are being drafted. A lot of them have to do with voting on college campuses, which does not affect us. There are some legislators who think we should be voting on Easter Sunday. And I'm telling you, you see all kinds of crazy stuff.
I think the original logic was, it was big enough, school was big enough to hold them, and where some of the other polling places weren't big enough if you consolidate them, which everybody did. And the other logic was it was kind of a neutral area, where if you put it in a city building, well, not everybody's involved in the city, or a firehouse. That's kind of the logic originally.
Right. Right.
I know both the school districts in my area would be more than happy if they was.
And I know the ones in city of Paris would love to get rid of it too. I'm sure Kansas would. I know Shiloh, they're on me all the time to get out of the school there. And just as soon as we can work out the details, I will. I'm working on it. That's a goal of mine, to get them out of the school for the safety and protection of the children. Boy, I could go on and on, but on my 5 minutes, I've been advised my 5 minutes is up.
Did I miss anybody?
I've got a follow-up with Eric. Last month, we did the transaction on the ambulance. Did that all
It's
get
done.
worked
Done
out?
over with.
Okay, so you're satisfied?
It's done and over with.
All right. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah, everything was done that week, I believe.
Okay, all right.
Good. Committee reports. Ben, what do you have for us? I'm gonna try the other way.
Okay, insurance. Of course, we met and we took care of what we had the resolution on for people employed over 65. We also are discussing, and Mr. Zuber's looking into maybe possibility of somebody helping us with bidding our insurance out. Looking into what the cost would be if we use somebody rather than us trying to do it. And you might report on that. Both our medical insurance and our liability insurance. The airport, we met last night. Went over the lease. We had new input from Rusty's attorney. So that lease will go back to the committee of three. That would be Jake Payne and Dan and
Dale Barkley.
Dale Barkley.
We'll have a meeting Friday morning, so.
I would suggest that Dawn go to that to get that kind of up to speed on it. Yeah,
Friday morning. Franklin Building.
Friday morning.
8 o'clock at Franklin Building.
Anyway, as you probably know, we have not got this done by the 1st of March. So I'd say, you guys, how much time do you think we'll need to get this?
Well, probably Friday should be short. And then it goes back to the committee at the airport. That should be fairly short. And then it's like they're going to come to the full board then before ISOP.
Well, we'll come to me and you and Elsley.
And then the
and
ISOP.
then the board, and then this board, I would say, and then the ISOP
Well,
You know,
let's
if we got
say,
everything the way,
let's say April meeting, and if they have to have a special meeting before that to adopt the lease, and we could,
I have a question.
yes.
Why wouldn't, before we act on it, why wouldn't you send it to ISA? Because that would prolong it,
Because if you don't like something in it, now it's gotta go back.
To look at it.
just to look at it. Oh, I'm sorry,
think that's
I'm
what
sorry.
it
is.
Not to,
Yeah,
not to act, I
Okay,
misunderstood.
yeah, all right, yeah,
Okay.
for everybody to look at, and then any changes you want,
Gotcha, perfect.
and then we go take it.
Misunderstood.
All right, okay. I thought-
with everything that's gone through, ISO shouldn't have much to say about it anyway. I mean, it's gonna be, he don't say much anyway, period, so that
Well,
it should be fairly cut and dry for them. I
Yeah.
mean,
hopefully
I'm trying to
everything will be
say.
fine,
Right.
with
Right,
Mark when we go through it that many times, but the logic was to have our final recommendation that we present to him to just say he sees no problem.
so you can put these John Henry on and
Yeah.
over, so.
And then it'll come back to be voted on.
Right.
So you're saying end of April? you would be-
I say a meeting in April, hopefully before.
Greg, a month from now.
Yeah, right, right.
At a regularly convened
Yeah,
meeting?
right, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Hopefully before that, we set up a special meeting on it then.
And if
I'm
I
tired of
could,
looking at it.
excuse me, if I could remind you, the board meeting is gonna be a week later than normal due to the election falling on a Tuesday.
So that's good.
So we've got an extra week built in there, just FYI for you
I
gentlemen.
think we're all getting kind of tired of looking at it, so I have a feeling it'll be quicker than normal.
And is it possible that we could get it prior to, so we could, I mean, as soon as it's ready for us to
Oh,
look
yeah,
at?
yeah.
I don't wait for the board meeting, I mean,
Right.
then we could start inputting things.
Actually, this, the one that we had, I think you got a copy,
I did.
everybody got
I
a
read
copy
it.
of,
I read it.
which wouldn't be the official copy, assuming, if you assume that we would have found something that we didn't like in one of the committee's other, but the board had a copy of it.
After Friday, I'll run off more copies and I'll give you the updated, updated version the next week. I'll get it around to you soon. I have to drive by your home and throw it in the mailbox or something. It's legal or not.
Some of us are gonna get different packages.
I just want to,
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
I just want to urge the committee that we've already missed one deadline,
No, we know.
and we're not going to be too favorable with missing the second deadline.
Well, I think that's up to the board, so.
Well,
We missed the
I
deadline
remember
because
Mr.
it's more
Abel's
of a,
concern.
we
and
missed
I
the
agree with
deadline
him.
because it is more of a ongoing process and sit down and do, because it's going so many different places. If it just went to one place, then probably a deadline would have been made, but that's not gonna happen. So I don't see what the rush is in this.
That would be the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Chairman, attended the Regional Office of Education meeting that we're all required to go to as county board members. We have to have a representative on there at Bobby Mattingly's office in Charleston. Basically, that's where it tells us how much we're going to have to pay again for this year. When the old county superintendents closed down, then we all moved to the Regional Office of Education. And we as a county, like every other county in that district or in that area, that region I should say, they all pay money in for the ancillary parts to be part of the building, secretaries, office staff, phones, et cetera, et cetera. That's a part that they can charge directly to the county. It'll be the same as it was last year, I want to say 23,000, something like that. Right, I can't remember.
35.
I thought it was actually less than that, maybe not. but-
We pay 17,000 twice.
Okay.
They've already paid one installment.
And so it's gonna be the same supposedly what she said last year. And keep in mind, then somebody asked a question there, just so everybody would know. Actually, we don't pay any part of the regional superintendent salary or the assistant regional superintendent salaries. Those are quasi like our state's attorney. They're paid directly by the board. Also, a couple, I'm getting ready to go for another one of this Local Workforce Act. We're in section 23, of which we also have to have representation by a county board member on this. This is the one where it's a federal program inserted into a state program, then they sell it off to somebody else. There's a general county board members all make up a board, and then they go out into business and industry. They're a separate board. That board decides how they're going to try to impact workers in an area, how they're gonna help out workers. This is also the one where, as county board members, we're also called upon to kind of pay attention to that, because if they go in the hole or if they're doing wrong things, then the county board can get assessed for those wrongdoings. And I kind of said, like, can we opt out of this? And they said, no. You know, the state says all God's children have a representative on this, and so that, and it's been interesting. I don't think we get quite as much work out of that as if we lived in Effingham or Salem, but maybe we can try to change it up a little bit. As Ben was talking about our insurance, looking at it roughly between health insurance and liability insurance, try to get some of that stuff with Don the other day. I think we spent over $500,000 as far as outside that. And as Ben and I think our insurance committee talked, is like, that's something we think is worthy to look into, to see if we had one as a bid, but also to see if we had an agent, so to speak, who could go out and know what we're supposed to be looking for exactly in health insurance and also in liability insurance, and see if actually for their amount, if that would be able to recover costs and actually lessen our total amount, maybe with better coverage, maybe not. So we're looking into having somebody possibly even come to a board meeting or a work study session and discuss different avenues off of that. And I think that's it.
Okay. Dan?
Met with Andrew, Animal Shelter, last week. Everything's going smoothly out there. One project's kind of looking into doing, but we haven't figured it out yet. I think the expense may be a little greater than what we anticipated, or what Andrew anticipated. Load of fuel tax, basically on hold right now. Waste, solid waste, I haven't met. So.
You anticipate a meeting in the near future?
I'll set one up, nobody show up, but I'll set one up. So.
I have a question.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
This is the solid waste.
Yeah.
Your comment, you said motor fuel tax is on hold. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, we really can't do much right now because we don't know what's going to come down from the state on funding, so.
Well, just so you folks know, I got the normal payments for township and county motor fuel tax already this month. I just want you guys to know that. I'm not saying that there's not something going on. I'm just saying I did get February's payments on time. Thank you.
Mr. Farm?
The only thing is, we've got 2 meetings with the different FOP groups, Sheriff's Department Union, one today and one tomorrow, and see what happens.
See what happens. Mr. Boyd?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have roughly, by the end of the month, we'll have 33% of the year gone. Plugging in the known payrolls and so forth, expenditures will be sitting right at 26.5%. So we are obviously on target as far as expenditures. As far as income, we lag. Everything seems to be backloaded. Most of our income comes in later on in the year, and when the state figures they're going to pay us. The grant that Augie's talking about that helps us with election might mean a loss of $11,600. Okay. Most of the departments are in line, even given the extraordinary expense the airport had for equipment repair, which was mandatory. The airport is pretty much on target, maybe just a hair over, so not terrible. And our judicial departments are over slightly, which speaks to the trials and the juvenile expenses that we've had. So all in all, for the shape we're in good shape. The other thing I want to mention is the Finance Committee will be meeting soon. We'll be tying together all of the amendments that we need to do probably by the May meeting to the budget. And we do have a office holders committee meeting later on this month. I think it's the 26th, is that correct? And so we're doing the things we need to do.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. At this time, oh, I'm sorry, Ned.
Well, I just came to me and everything. Mr. Chairman, the board might need to know, we do have a vacancy on the 708 Mental Health Committee with the retirement of Merlin Funkhauser. And if anyone has a recommendation, it's not a very onerous duty. We only meet 4 times a year for about an hour, 7 o'clock in the morning. But we do have the responsibility for oversight on the 708 mental health tax funds that we allocate in this county. Budget goes directly to the Human Resources Center. But we do need, or could use one more member. We're hoping to, it would be nice to find somebody out in the rural areas of the county, maybe up in the, or Kansas, or up, Brockton, Hume.
Was Verlin on there because he was on the county board? Or
I'm Berlin's replacement on the county
Oh,
board.
okay.
What I think you meant
Well,
was like,
yeah, but,
for me technically,
yeah,
I'm
but,
trying to get Berlin to do it.
yeah. But Alan was also on the 708 board, just as an appointed member, so one way or another, we got a vacancy. So if anyone has a suggestion, it'd be nice to have somebody in the health field, something like that, or education, because they deal, both in health and with interact with the schools. But if anyone has a suggestion, well, I pass it on to Chris, and Ken is also trying to get some recommendations, so maybe in another month we'll have someone to suggest.
Good. I'm sorry, thank you, Ned. I didn't mean to overlook you.
Well,
Anything else? If not at this time, we will go into closed session.
I'd like, Mr. Chairman, I
You're
move
on.
that we go into closed session under the Illinois compiled statutes 120 Open Meetings Act, under C, part 11 under litigation, for an action against, affecting, or behalf of a particular body has been filed, or the public body finds an action is probable or imminent.
You get that?
I got that. Is there a second?
Second by Mr. Farnum, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Now we will
We've got so many of those. I've
yeah, well,
I mean, they're like dinosaurs. It's like an old Matrix bed, what you call it.
Mr. Clerk, would you like this off?
no, I don't. See what vacancies.
And if you can
Okay, we're back in open session. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Boyd, seconded by Mr. Farnum. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Okay. Heat on time or not?
Well, I hope he's already done that. 11 o'clock, he said we're supposed to be there.